Cleveland Browns faithful, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. It is the day after report. Week 2, our Cleveland Browns get the W against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 18-13. If you're new here, the day after report is us here at the Cleveland Pulse talking with everyday Browns fans who watch the game. Maybe we're in the future games, we're in attendance at some of the games. We want to have some real discussions with some of the Cleveland Browns fans who are not analysts, podcasters, people who just aren't chronically online. We want to hear from the real fans in the community and the organization. Today, we have a very special guest. Not only is he a business owner in Northeast Ohio, not only is he a wedding officiant, but he is also my uncle Robert Valore. Welcome on into the Cleveland Pulse. How are you doing today? Good. I just want to get on. Let's just get it started. General thoughts of yesterday compared to what you saw a week ago. I'm very curious to hear what you had to say, because I'll preface this conversation by saying I should have recorded our last week's conversation because it was an absolute doozy after the game.
Okay, my nephew. First of all, thank you for the intro. That was absolutely wonderful. You're very nice.
Yep.
Let me say this. The sky is not falling. You are right. Last week was awful. Now, yesterday's game, the most important thing is we did get the W, right? We got the W. Was Deshaun much better? No. Could he have been much worse? Absolutely not. The first drive of the game, nephew, what was he? 7 of 9?
It looked good.
Scored a touchdown. He had that one pass he had a couple of passes that I think were suspect on that opening drive, but we scored a touchdown. That is key. To start the game off and to set the tone, I think that was key. Also, Jacksonville is, I think, a mess. Peterson, Trevor Lawrence has not done anything in this league. And you see, they couldn't get anything going all day.
Yep.
Our defense was stellar throughout the day.
Absolutely. And we got a new format here on the Pulse. I think this might be the first ever phone in on an episode. So I'm excited to see kind of how the audience reacts to this, but I'm sure it's going to be good, in-depth conversation. And I do like what you said there, because what was the difference from a week ago? We played from ahead in this game. Did we ever trail in this game?
No.
We never trailed in this game. Complete 180 of last week. And this is just when you look around the league, you can't help but kind of compare and just in scoreboard watch, even though it's not the same game week in and week out. You prepare differently for some teams. You have good matchups against some teams. But when you kind of look at this week's, just the totality of this week versus what we saw last week, not only did it seem like a different Browns team, but when you were watching our game, the Saints and the Cowboys were playing, and the Saints absolutely roughhoused them. It wasn't really a competitive game at all over there. So you're kind of thinking like, okay, Jacksonville might be a mess. They could be good, but we have a chance to send them to 0-2, preferably to us going 0-2, obviously. But it's like, after one week, you can't really tell if you have a great game, if you have a doozy, what the rest of the season, looks like for a lot of teams. If you're a bad team, if you're tanking, it's different. That might be one thing, but it's like you need a decent sample size of plays to be able to figure out what really is, happening, going on. Let's talk about the offensive game plan yesterday.
Well, let me say this.
Yep.
Because of the situation that we have created here in Cleveland.
Yep.
We have Deshaun Watson. We're not going to belabor him and his situation, but we don't play him in the preseason, and then we come out and perform like we did against the Cowboys. So you and I had that conversation last week, and it was the end of the world.
Yep.
Now, because of the situation that we are in, right? That's why it was so bad. Okay. So what was different? And the way I see it is, if we can keep Deshaun out of passing situations and we can control the game and control the ball, that's how we're going to win.
Clear passing situations.
mean, he was 22 out of 34 for 186 yards, and we win ugly, right?
Yep.
Which is fine. He made some plays with his legs yesterday, which we need him to do that, right? We should have put him away, though. The second half got a little dicey. But go ahead, Jeff. You were asking a question?
So here's my thing, just from a pure eye test. Did the usage of the playbook look all that different from week 2 to week 1 as far as difficulty level?
Well,
because to me it didn't. It just seemed like he played in the system a lot better this week. There was not a lot of, big time risk, low, high risk, high reward plays. He seemed to play in the pocket more. I think what I'm getting at here is I don't know if he needed the 40 pass attempts in week 1. I don't know if he needed to, kind of get his, his bell rung a couple of times in week 1 to maybe take practice more seriously or just have better preparation, whatever it may be, because there wasn't a lot of difficult throws, which is fine. He made some that were good with his legs, escaping the pocket, doing some, escape artist like stuff. But what I noticed, and I just looked back through the highlights, actually, I'd have to compare it to week 1. I felt like he was in the shotgun a lot more this week, which I feel like he's really comfortable with. And he just, I don't want to call him a game manager because you're supposed to be asking more from him as far as how that goes. But he basically
30 million, yes.
That's all he did basically. He just didn't do anything stupid.
Right, exactly. Right, and that's what we need.
Absolutely, and it's like you have a good kicker, you have a good defense. That was always the game plan against them. If the offenses are the same, then hopefully we have a better defense and we bring it on home. Now, I want to talk about just another facet of preparation. What do you think is week 3 like your cutoff point where we need to see these flags stop being such a huge issue where we're getting flagged for 100 plus yards and penalties? Is that a preseason issue? Where do you think that's coming from?
Well, for Kevin Stefanski, is it lack of discipline? I mean, this cannot continue. We cannot continue to sustain 13 penalties, yep, 95 yards. You cannot be a serious contender and sustain those types of you're not going to win doing that. So even though you're playing the Giants this week, it's going to bite you. So I think that if I'm Stefanski, you got to clean that up this week. Is it lack of focus? Is it because we don't play him in the preseason? I'm not exactly sure, but now we've had the reps. We all got our bell rung against the Cowboys. There was some rumors from people that I know had said that Dorsey had kind of was more involved in the Cowboys game plan, and this is just speculation, and the Jaguars game plan was Stefanski kind of took it back over.
Okay.
That's just speculation from somebody I know that works in the Browns building, not very high up. We were just disjointed against the Cowboys. So moving forward, I think if Stefanski, we're jumping around here a little bit, Jeffrey, but people want to dog about Stefanski, but he's a 2-time coach of the year.
Yep.
He beat the 49ers with PJ Walker. He got us to the playoffs with Flacco from the couch. So it's not, to me, it's not Stefanski. I think Stefanski and Barry know what they have in Deshaun Watson. But go ahead, sir.
Honestly, I think that's a good point, though. Like, there's no point in the Stefanski, in the crossover of Stefanski and Watson's tenure where any of the losses have been on Stefanski. I don't know if there's a lot of losses since we've hired him as our head coach that have been, a bonehead play here, a bonehead play call there. But let's stay on this topic here because, obviously at the highest levels, sometimes you have to make some changes. Sometimes you have to do some stuff, even if it's after 1 week. Let's talk about kind of that coaching mindset, and something that was interesting to me this week was Foreman getting the start over Jerome Ford, and then the running back room kind of coalescing together. How did you feel about that move? Was that like a sharp, savvy move that needed to be made?
Well, I was amazed week one we didn't see Foreman. We heard the running back room. We knew in the offseason Chubb wasn't going to be here. They signed Foreman. Then they cut Foreman, and they said he's going to be back. Week one, we don't see – he played one play. He had one down. So I was glad to see he got 14 carries for 42 yards. Now, Ford had 7 for 64. But I think, yes, I was glad to see both of them on the field, okay? Ford being the second back, I kind of like that change of pace there.
Yep.
Yes, I do like that quite a bit.
It's almost like, even me and Justin were talking about it, it's almost like when Ford doesn't have the expectations of being a lead back, there's just less pressure on him, and he seems to perform a little bit better. Let's transition to the wide receiver room. Then we'll hit special teams. Then we'll hit defense, and then we'll wrap it up for the week 2 day after report. But the wide receiver room, no Njoku this week. You go out and get Jerry Jeudy this offseason. And you have a much longer, more extensive history following the Browns, before 99 even. But what is it with when we just have wide receiver rooms constructed? It just never seems like we've had a dominant wide receiver room for the longest time. Is it the AFC North? I just don't get what it is. It's like, Amari Cooper's looked bad through 2 games. I'm curious to hear your thoughts there.
Well, when I was a young kid, we got Andre Rison, and I don't know if he caught 2 balls here in Cleveland. I mean, we just have a hard time. Something is amiss with Amari Cooper, and I like him. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But he's dropped balls that he should catch. Is it focus? Is he pouting about Jeudy? Is he mad at Deshaun? I don't know. I will say I love Judy's game this week. He seems like he cares. You know what I'm saying? He seems like he's engaged. And him and Elijah Moore, that's all you could ask for. I think they did a nice job. They held on to the ball, and I was encouraged by them. If we could get Cooper to bring that enthusiasm back and start catching the ball, I love the room. That to me should be better than it is.
And it's just even with the production that we've seen from them, it's you could have a guy make 2 or 3 plays, like unfortunately someone who got injured this week in David Bell, but it makes a world of difference when you go from week 1, you can't even really move the sticks at all, and then you have tertiary players in the wide receiver room like a David Bell, like other guys who could step up and make big plays, even some plays to Jordan Akins, honestly, just kind of out of left field. But when Njoku's out, other people have to step up, and he's kind of been Stefanski's favorite target.
Did Akins play with Deshaun?
Correct.
In Houston.
Yep, in Houston. Yep. So it's always something to monitor though with that group. It's like, is somebody going to have? It's just startling too, because you saw success with them, Flacco last year, with not a lot of chemistry, and he's an aired out type of quarterback, but we'll see, especially teams that aren't touted as good, defensive squads. It'll be interesting to see how the year develops. Let's talk about. Go ahead.
Real quick on receiving. On the receivers, what about Kadarius Toney? What do they think
practice squad?
Are they going to give him Stickum on his gloves, or what do they?
They'll probably have him returning punts this week.
Has he ever held on to the football?
No, I don't. I'm not. I wasn't certain about that move.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk about maybe one of the best back-to-back play sequences I've seen in a long time. The Bojorquez punt. Side actions out of bounds, and then the safety by Alex Wright, obviously with the assist by Myles Garrett. That is, I think, especially what you've seen through the first 2 weeks, and I know that you're dialed into following a lot of teams and following a lot of scores. With the scoring being down this year, that's what I think Cleveland Browns fans cling on to. And it radiates and it makes sense. Like a good punt, an elite punt, and then a defensive stop safety. Like that's a play where you're like, all right, this team could go really far.
Now, it's funny that you say that because what it was, we'll say the old days when quarterbacks were throwing for 300-400 yards. I mean, now we've got kickers that are hitting 50, 55-yard field goals like nothing.
Yep.
And I mean, defenses are dominating. The game is kind of changing right now, which is kind of cool because we had quarterbacks airing it out for a while. So to me, it was exciting to see that punt and then us get that safety. I've always been a fan of the slugfest. Let's just slug it out, ground and pound type of game, and win it ugly. And that's what we had to do, and that's what we did. I'm very optimistic about our defense.
Yep.
I think the Cowboys, that was just, we stubbed our toe against the Cowboys. They ran into a buzzsaw against the Saints. But I think that we could right the ship, and we put that game behind us. But I'm optimistic about this defense here going forward. And I like our special teams. Obviously, Hopkins is solid, and Bork has been, he's been very pleasant surprise.
Speaking of riding the ship, let's do a little week 3 preview. I think we'd be remiss to not mention that this is a perfect spot for the Browns to kind of be lackluster. I'm obviously hoping that they're not, but you get a win in Jacksonville, you come home cooking, and you're playing a team that is going to be consensus one of the worst teams in the league. But every team has talent. You have to go out there and play the football game. It just seems like, will we have the same amount of hunger and drive that we did against Jacksonville? I'm hoping Stefanski, has them ready. I'm hoping that it's a clean, crisp game. We beat them by 30 because I think that's a realistic possibility. I think if you get the Browns best this Sunday, this could be a blowout victory. But we've seen it time and time again. You're coming, you're on the way up, headed towards a high. And then it's kind of like, are we going to play down to the competition, or are we going to play our brand of football?
Right. Well, and that is, unfortunately, are you going to look past the Giants? And that's what concerns me as a man who may or may not like to wager. I jump on the under now at 38 because it's only going to go down because these two teams, I don't know how many points you're going to put on the board. They should be all over Danny Dimes. I mean, Danny Dimes has not too many options. Saquon Barkley's probably going to run for $1.50 tonight and score 2 touchdowns, not in a Giants uniform.
Yep.
He's got that kid named very promising, but the cover's kind of bare over there.
Yep.
And I think this is a get-right spot for the Browns, but you can't look ahead. You cannot look past this team because, like you just said, this is still the NFL, and you can't stub your toe right here. There's no reason to look past this team. What are your thoughts on the Giants?
I think we'll win, but it won't be like overly fun. I won't be totally, lax and zen the whole 3.5 hours that the football game is going on. It'll probably be a little bit of a sweat at some points. And I think that the theme of this last week was good job, win sloppy. You let them hang around. They had a chance. And that's not a formula that I'm thrilled with replicating.
We let them hang around.
Can't duplicate that every week and just be like, oh, we beat a team that we're better than, or we beat a bad team, and just hope that you could go on with your life. So it'll be interesting. I think it reads Browns win. But you go out there and play the games.
The Giants through 2 games, they average 12 points and they give up 24.5.
Yep.
They're anemic.
Yep.
The Browns right now, as of today, they're laying a touchdown.
True.
The point spread's 38.5. It's only going to drop. So if you're a man that likes to wager or a lady that likes to wager, get in on the under now. That's my pick of the week, is get in on that Browns Giants under now. These two teams are going to have a hard time. If I'm the Browns, it's ball control. It's get right here. Let's muscle this team. Let's punish them. Let's get this game, and let's right the ship this week at Huntington Bank Field.
Love it. Absolutely. You heard it here first. The bet play of the week, under in Browns Giants. Well,
get that 38 in the hook now, because that number is going down.
We'll monitor that during the week. We'll see. We'll monitor that during the week. Well, I mean, fantastic discussion. Appreciate you being on. Any final thoughts here before we wrap?
Hey, listen, no, this was fun, and I'd like to do this again. I think we could. We have a lot more to talk about.
We'll be back.
And it was definitely a pleasure, my nephew.
Absolutely.
Go Browns.
Absolutely. Go Browns. Well, if you made it this long into the video, we appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe down below. Go check out the Fairview Tavern in Northeast Ohio. Go there, get some lunch, get some dinner, check it out. Tell them the Cleveland Pulse sent you, and we'll be happy to have you. But with that all being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.